All right, guys, welcome back to part 2 for Islamic civilizations. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to go into a flight simulator video because the first part of notes that we're going to talk about in this video is how the landscape, how the geography is really difficult. So this is part of a clip I showed you a little bit of in the first video to show you the Kaaba, which is where Muslims would go for their Hajj or holy trip to Mecca. But I want you to take a look here just at the landscape in general, the mountains, the desert. This is not something that would be easy to travel in ancient times. You know, walking through the desert, climbing mountains, very difficult. So this is going to make you understand a little bit better when you see the difficulties that they had with the spread of religion. Islam spread even though they went through all of these difficulties with the geography, with how difficult the landscape is, and that's impressive. So that's one of the themes that you need to understand is because of the geography, it is tough for Muslims. So after Muhammad's death, Islamic civilization overcame many obstacles to rapidly expand. The geography influences the spread of Islamic culture. So first off, we have a vocabulary word, diffusion. So it says diffusion along trade routes from Mecca and Medina. Diffusion is kind of like, imagine your mom at home spraying Febreze. You see the mist coming out the bottle, but eventually it disappears. But what happens is you still smell it. So it's diffused, it's spreading out further and further, but you don't see it as much because the particles become smaller. So as they're leaving Mecca and leaving Medina, these trade routes are going out in different directions and they're spreading their religion. Despite great distances and the desert environments and the mountain barriers, as I just showed you in the flight simulator video, they still expanded. So this is very impressive. It's a lot of determination. And finally, Islam spread into the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia, Iran, which is part of that area, and Central Asia. So next, the geographic influence continued. Again, this is on economic, social, and political development. You have political unity of the first Islamic empire was very short-lived. Sounds complicated, but we're going to move to this middle one. The main thing that you always seem to be tested on is that the Arabic language spread with Islam and it facilitated trade. If you speak the same language as someone else, it makes it easier to trade. And also, slavery is not based on race. It's based on religion in terms of with Islam. Now, we've talked about the Dome of the Rock. It's located in Jerusalem, and I don't want you to be confused with the Hagia Sophia. Now, the main thing is you look at the gold dome, but also we're going to get into the next parts. I want you to notice the mosaics. We'll talk about mosaics in a moment. But again, when you see the Dome of the Rock, you should immediately think of Muslims and Islam, Islamic culture. And again, it's located in Jerusalem. So once again here, I'm using Flight Simulator to show you what the Dome of the Rock looks like. So this is called the Temple Mount. It's the last remaining structure that used to be King Solomon's temple. And again, you see two little domes. There's what the small one is called the Dome of the Chain. And from what I understand, it was almost like they were practicing before they built the main structure. But the Dome of the Rock, this is supposed to be the holiest site in Jerusalem because there is a rock where Abraham was going to sacrifice his son, which is in the Old Testament of the Bible. But look up close. Those are mosaics. All of that artwork is made with small pieces of glass and tile, and this is a characteristic of Islamic culture in their art. So keep that in mind. This is very detailed. Flight Simulator is pretty cool, to be honest. So once again, mosaics are art made from tiny pieces of glass or tile. You may have done a type of mosaic when you were like in kindergarten. They took a coloring book page and they took shredded pieces of cardboard paper, different colors, and you pasted them together instead of using crayons. And that's a different type of mosaic. But if you look to the picture to the right, that is a mosaic that's inside the Hagia Sophia. Now, one of the other achievements of Islamic culture is the Arabic alphabet. And this is something that I have seen in the past where they have given you an example like what you see here on the picture, and they ask you what type of language that is. Or they could say this language spread through trade. So again, remember the Arabic language spread through trade and it helped to spread Islam, the religion. Okay, next. This one's pretty important because first off, we have universities, but this is the bigger one. The Muslims were really famous for translating ancient texts into Arabic. So what happens is when we lose these certain documents from other cultures collapsing, they're there. The Muslims have saved them. So many historical documents were preserved because of the Muslims saving them and translating them into Arabic, which then they could be translated back into Greek, Latin, etc. Okay, this next one is something that's misunderstood by a lot of people. So scientific achievements of Islamic culture. You're looking at Arabic numerals. The reality is the numbers that we use, like for example, if you look on your cell phone and you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0, those are derivative of Arabic numerals, and that's literally what they're called today. The Muslims borrowed them from India, and we borrowed them from the Muslims. And next up, we have algebra. Now, I would joke and tell my students that algebra meant bad. I'm joking. I just don't like math, only because I'm not good at it. Math is super important, but that looks like a foreign language to me personally. So if they ever ask me to do videos to tutor or remediate for math, don't watch them. Whatever you do, do not watch them, because I won't help you at all. I probably need to see a remediation video on math. So just to be clear, Muslims did not invent medicine. However, like the Romans, they were very proactive. They were trying to use things and seek things that would help people's lives be better. So this is something that is also a scientific achievement, is their use of medicine. And last, another scientific achievement is the expansion of geographic knowledge. So if you go back and look at that video clip again, flying through the desert, you see the mountains, you see how vast it is and how difficult it would be. So they had to have detailed maps and use of the stars in the sky just to get around, because you could easily get lost in the desert at night. And again, the geography was tough. So you have to give the Muslims a lot of credit for a lot of this science. Very important. All right, to wrap things up, I'm going to give you a little Assassin's Creed clip here. This is from Assassin's Creed Revelations, and yeah, the resolution's not the greatest because this is back on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. But anyway, this is called the Holy Wisdom Challenge, which, if you remember, the Hagia Sophia is translated to Holy Wisdom. But anyway, I just will let you watch this in the background as I wrap the unit up. So the main thing to understand with this unit is this is not one of the most exciting ones, but when it gets to what you're probably going to see on an SOL or a CSA or some other type of statewide testing, the main thing to understand is the relationship between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam and their similarities, etc. Let me cut to this scene right here. This is what it looks like inside the dome of the Hagia Sophia. Huge, very huge. But anyway, the other thing is always go back, watch the video, pause if you need to, re-listen, look at the graphics. The graphics are organized in a way to help you so you don't have to study, but you can watch the video as many times as you want just to basically, help you to remember the information that you struggle with, and those things that you don't struggle with, just skip them over. But anyway, I'll leave this running. You can enjoy the rest of the video till he gets to the top. Have a good one, and the next unit's much bigger and much more exciting. See you next time.